Hello everyone, good evening. Welcome to our article discussion video. So tonight we are going to discuss about understanding inclusive early childhood education. But first off, I wanted to welcome everyone personally. Hello, Kuya Rain. Hello, Joyce. Good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Hello. So first off, I wanted to you to introduce yourself. How do you feel this evening, and what is the task that is given to you? So is that all clear?
Yes.
Okay, so first off, we have Kuya Rain. Hello, Kuya Rain. Good evening.
Hello, JM. Hello, ma'am. Hello, classmates, and good evening. I am Rain or Rainer Alvarez. I am excited today because we are going to discuss or we are going to learn a lot about of our article. Um, the given task to me is to write or to do the summary of the article. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Kuya Rain. So next up, let's have Miss Joyce Jacinto. Hello, Joyce. Good evening.
Hello, Julius. Good evening. Good evening to everyone. I'm Joyce Jacinto. The task that was given to me is the realization for teaching practice in the early years. I'm excited to share to all of you the article that we have read.
Thank you, Joyce. That is so lovely. So hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Julius Manuel Manganti. So tonight, I feel very excited because once again, we are going to share our sentiments into the in a discussion video that we are going to make. And yeah, I feel very excited because once again, we are going to share our sentiments as a group. So the task that is given to me is to formulate a guide question to be answered by the whole class. So since Kuya Dexter is not here to be with us because of a health-related issue, let's proceed now. So can we have Kuya Rainier to tell us about the summary?
Okay, thank you, JM. Um, The article given is entitled Understanding Inclusive Early Childhood Education, a capability approach, and the authors are Catherine Underwood, Angela Valeo, and Rebecca Wood of Ryerson University. This study investigates the use of current rhetoric in inclusive education, namely the capability approach and its implementation in early childhood education. The paper emphasizes the contradictions between right-based uh, vocabulary that informs um, inclusive education practice and children's rights to early intervention. The purpose of this article is to um, alleviate some of the tensions that result from opposing philosophical approaches to early childhood education, as well as to give framework for addressing the developmental and social needs of young children with disabilities. The researchers mentioned that the division for for early childhood or DEC and the National Association of the Education of Young Children or NAEYC released a joint position statement in 2009 that provided a much needed definition of early childhood inclusion. Early childhood inclusion encapsulates every infant young child's right, regardless of ability, engage in a wide range of activities and contexts, and complete members of their families, communities, and society. Early childhood inclusion is an essential component of all children's early childhood education. Underwood, Vallejo, and Wood stated that one of the challenges in comprehending inclusive practice with early childhood is the dispersion of services, early care and education services are provided by healthcare, education, and social service agencies. They may be funded by the government or the private sector or a combination of the two. Rainbow 2010 stated that the enterprise of special education must be capable of developing a framework that considers all three rationales. And these are number one, ethical or social political arguments centered on democracy, equity, and rights. Number two, ontological arguments centered on defining impairment and disability. And last, number three, epistemological arguments centered on breaking down the divide between individuals and with and without disability. The writers also discuss the relationship between capabilities and difference, stating that many families advocate for programs that classify children depending on their handicap. The experience and education of the family may determine whether they can provide their child experiences similar to those taught in kindergarten or whether they can afford the cost associated with various intervention programs. Family characteristics will have an impact on family decisions. Inclusion is consistently described as one of the important components of successful programming of young children with disabilities in the international literature on early intervention programs. In this section, we present the findings of many worldwide reviews on inclusive early childhood intervention and education, as well as how they connect to the capability approach according to Underwood, Galeo, and Wood in their paper. In the conclusion, writers said that the tensions that arise in serving the needs of young children with impairments have been studied in this article. Early childhood experiences are vital of development regardless of geographic or social position, but they may be even more significant in nations where these inequalities disadvantage children, particularly children with impairment. So that is our summary of our article. Thank you.
Wow, that is a well-constructed summary, Rain. We've learned a lot. Thank you. So let's now proceed with our question and answer. So I have formulated two guide questions that will be answered by the whole class or by the whole group. So are you ready, guys?
Yes.
Okay, that's good to hear. So first question. So what does early childhood inclusion embodies and what are the intended outcomes for children with or without disabilities and their families? So can we have um, Kuya Rain to answer the first question? Kuya Rain, hello.
Oh, hello. For the question number one, what does early childhood inclusion embodies and what are the all the intended outcomes for children with or without disabilities and their families? For early childhood inclusion, embodies the values, policies, and practices that support the right of every infant and young child and his or her family, regardless of ability, to participate in a broad range of activities and context as full members of families, communities, and the society. Thank you.
Yes, that is right, Kuya Rain. So early childhood inclusion encapsulates the principles, policies, and practices that promote every infant and young child's and family's right to engage in a wide range of activities and contexts as full members of their families, communities, and society, regardless of their ability. So, a sense of belonging and membership, healthy social relationships and friendships, and development and learning to realize one's full potential are all intended outcomes of inclusive experiences for children with and without disabilities and their families. So Access, participation, and supports are the distinguishing characteristics of inclusion that can be used to identify high-quality early childhood programs and services. So let us now move on to our second question, which will be answered by Miss Joyce Jacinto. So hello, Miss Joyce.
Hello.
So the question is, what is the role and task of an educator in the early childhood of the children, and how does early childhood education help the children with and without disability?
Okay. Early childhood educators are tasked with preparing the children for later educational experience or enhancing their developmental trajectory for children with disabilities. Early childhood educations settings are also expected to meet a rehabilitative or preventative function is expected to influence the realization of capabilities for all children. But for children with disabilities, those goals may also decrease freedom to achieve capabilities by not acknowledging fundamental difference in children.
Thank you, Joyce. That is a very well constructed answer. But for me, what is the role and task of an educator? It is indicated in the article that some skills, such as literacy, are taught to youngsters as part of their education. So, however, literacy is only one of many potential abilities that might be developed in a learning environment. So, early childhood educators are responsible for preparing children for future educational experiences as well as enhancing their developmental trajectory, which Ms. Joyce said. So early childhood education settings are also anticipated to provide a rehabilitative and or preventive function for children with disabilities. Early childhood education is anticipated to affect all children's ability to realize their potential, but for children with disabilities, these goals may limit their ability to realize their potential by failing to recognize underlying distinctions in children. So that is the answer for our second question. So since Kuya Dexter cannot make it tonight with us because of health-related issue, he sent me the questions that he formulated that would be answered again, each of us. So are you ready to answer the questions of Kuya Dexter?
Yes.
Okay, so let's proceed with the first question that Kuya Dexter has formulated. So what are the three principles of early childhood education that is being identified in the early childhood literature? So for the first question, can we have Kuya Rainier to answer? Hello, Kuya Rain.
Hello, thank you for the question. Um, the capability approach has three uh, key components that are important to our discussion: capability, function, and difference. The capability approach defines capabilities as those actions or states of being that are valued by individuals. Capabilities may be potential or realized, but each individual has a set of capabilities. Functioning can be described as those capabilities that have been realized or the actions and states of being that person has the freedom to achieve or become. According to Sen, 1999, the difference described above accounts for the freedom that an individual has to achieve their capabilities and convert them into functioning by Randolph Peter. Thank you.
Thank you, Kuya Rain. So the first question was, what are the three principles of early childhood education that is being identified in the early childhood literature? So Kuya Dexter answered that capabilities, functioning, and differentiation are three essential elements in the capability approach that are relevant to our discussion. So the capability approach defines capabilities as an individual's valued behaviors or states of being. So capabilities might be unrealized or achieved. but each person has a set of them. So the abilities that have been realized, as well as the acts and states of being that a person has the freedom to achieve or become, are referred to as functioning. So there you go. That's the answer for our third question that Kuya Dexter has formulated. So of course, we have the second question that Kuya Dexter made. So can I call on Miss Joyce Jacinto to answer the fourth and the last question? Hello, Miss Joyce.
Hello, Joe.
Hello, Miss
Hi.
Joyce. So the question is, in capability approach, what are the three key concepts mentioned as important factors? So let me read that once again. In capability approach, what are the three key concepts mentioned as important factors?
Capability approach has three key concepts that are important to our discussions: capabilities, functionings, and difference. The capability approach defines capability as those actions or state of being that are valued by an individual. Capabilities may be potential or realized, but each individual has a set of capabilities. Functionings can be described as those capabilities that have been realized or actions and states of being that a person has the freedom to achieve or become. According to SEN 1999, the difference described above account for the freedom that an individual to achieve their capabilities and convert them into functioning. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Joyce. So the question, again, the question is in capability approach, what are the three key concepts mentioned as important factors? So Kuya Dexter answered that we provide the findings of numerous international reviews on inclusive early childhood, intervention and education, as well as how they relate to the capability approach. So the early childhood literature identifies three basic themes of inclusive practice. First, we have in all settings, instruction must be tailored to each child. Secondly, services must be provided in inclusive settings, including at home. And lastly, systemic support for inclusive practice must be provided through policy and professional relationships. So that's all for our question and answer. So now let's have Miss Joyce Jacinto to share us about the realization. Hello, Miss Joyce.
Hello. Uh, so for today, I'm going to share to you our realization for teaching practice in the early years. Our realization that the early childhood inclusion should serve to set high expectation for all children, regardless of ability, to attain their full potential. Shared expectations can therefore lead to the identification of acceptable goals, as well as support the efforts of families, practitioners, individuals, and organizations to advocate for high quality inclusion. And according to experts, children with disabilities and their families should not lose sight of the value of inclusion as a driving premise. The support of the family to the children is very important, because if they praise their work of their children, is that it motivates them to do more their works. It is important that we should have a fair treatment regardless if they don't have disabilities or they have disabilities. It is important we should give them freedom to express themselves in order in order for them to develop more their potential. That's our realization of our article. Thank you.
Okay, so that is our article discussion video, guys. Thank you, ma'am, for Mosa, classmates and group mates for sharing our sentiments and of course for listening and watching this video. So we hope that you've learned a lot and we look forward to seeing y'all soon. So thank you guys. Bye-bye.